20 miles. And like I said, if we could sell all our beer within a 20-mile radius of Marlow, then we'd be very happy. So the history of Rebellion, basically my business partner and I went to Borlase right next to the old Wethered's Brewery in the centre of Marlow when it was still running. And we watched it close, and we played cricket together, and we got rather drunk one evening after a game of cricket, and we decided that I was working for one of the major national brewers, he was working for another international company. Both of us had talked about setting up in business together when we had the right idea, and I suggested that we ought to revive Marlow's brewing tradition, having seen Wethered's Brewery close in 1987. So we set up in 1993, there were 3 of us then. I sold my house to put the money into the business. We set up in the last major...
It's sounding all right, this.
Yeah. 30 minutes is up.
Anyway, yeah, so it was starting to sound a bit fuzzy, but it's probably me. Yeah, I sold my house and put the money from that into the business, and my business partner actually carried on working full-time for the company he was working for, giving me half his salary and working evenings and weekends. We set up in pretty much the last major recession, and the banks then wouldn't give us a £2,000 overdraft, unsecured overdraft. So we invested £60,000 of our own money, and we've pretty much grown the brewery ever since then by just sort of putting back. This is sounding terrible, isn't it?
Just shout. Don't need it. 30 minutes.
Can you all hear me if I shout? Is that
yes! Moving on.
Much better anyway. So yeah, we put all the last bit of money that we had into the business, and we've grown fairly steadily ever since. Pretty much as you walk round the brewery here, there are on a lot of the tanks these yellow labels, and they tell you where we've got the equipment from, because pretty much this is a working brewery museum. Every brewery that's closed down, I mean, over the last 20 years, every year 4 or 5 more lovely old regional town breweries have had to shut. Like I said, you've either got to be very big or very small, and the sort of the town breweries really have got squeezed in that. So we've seen a huge number over the last 20 years close. I mean, Breakspears, this is not crocodile beers, because Breakspears genuinely was one of my favourite beers of all time. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. Breakspears Brewery closed in Henley not because it wasn't profitable. The unfortunate things for Breakspears in Henley, Moorlands in Abingdon, Morrells in Oxford, was these breweries were actually sitting in the middle of very, very expensive towns, where the value of the land was far higher for shops, offices and homes than it was for actual brewing. So Breakspears was a totally profitable business. Unfortunately, the shares of Breakspears were owned by city institutions and other organisations that weren't passionate about brewing. All they were interested in was the short-term return. So to sell the brewery, to shut the brewery and sell the land in the centre of Henley, and Abingdon and Oxford, they got a much higher return than they would from brewing.